this drama with Derek Carr, I guess that's probably the right word for it. It's going on outside the field of play, and it's involving a lot of different characters, whether it's Mickey Loomis or Kellen Moore or Diana Rossini or Derek Carr himself or whatever the case may be. There's just a lot of stuff being said in the national spotlight as the Saints get prepared to play another season and don't certainly know, at least on the outside, who their quarterback is going to be. And Derek Carr spoke, I believe over the weekend, as best I can tell, at a church in Las Vegas called The Church. Derek Carr is very much a man of faith, spends a lot of time with faith-based organizations, and was speaking to this one over the weekend and decided to kind of talk a little bit about his time in the spotlight here and what's going on in his NFL offseason while delivering a message. This is what it sounded like. It's a little bit longer than we usually play, but we'll play the whole thing.
Yes, I have to say this. I hate that I have to say this, but I have to say this. Yes, I have a shoulder injury, despite what ESPN says, and what some lady on a podcast might think. Okay, I have an MRI report to prove it. The team knows about it. We've been in constant communication. There's nothing wrong. We're figuring it out, and we're going to go forward with that. Is that okay? And I've been dealing with this, and I've been dealing with people lying about me. I've been dealing with them saying this and that, and I'm like, Lord, why do I have to continue to deal with this nonsense? Like, what is going on? And I say that to preface with, you never know what someone's really going through. And so why do we continually try to attack people? And I would say attack people that are trying to do things maybe the right way. Why do we continually try? Why do we always have to have an opinion? Why do we always, Twitter and Instagram has ruined things for some people. Because now all these people think that they have voices that have to be heard. And so like, some people's voices don't need to be heard right now. I just gotta be honest with you. Because not one of our opinions in here matters. Did you know that? The only opinion that matters is that text right there. It is the Word of God. And everything must bow at that. And so
okay, so this is it's an interesting thing to me because, like, should we be talking about what Derek Carr says in a worship service? Maybe not. Like, I get that. But I also see the other side of it, so it's like everything that professional athletes do is in the spotlight. So I think he is fully aware that whatever he says, as he's basically preaching to these people, is to be disseminated. And it's just bad PR to sit up there and rip everybody while you're preaching. These guys live under a microscope. I get that. But there's not a lot of transparency on the outside. And that's going to generate intrigue and people digging for it. And Derek Carr, just at every turn, seems to say the wrong thing at this point, seems to do the wrong thing. I have given him the benefit of the doubt for a couple of years now, and I stopped doing that a couple of weeks ago when the report came out and everybody started kind of giving it a green light from around the league. And it just feels like he's not handling the situation well at all. And because of that, and because of the new group that has come in, and because of a new draft pick, like, there's just too much that's too toxic right now for the Derek Carr Saints relationship to continue. And it just felt weird to me personally for him to kind of vent about that in some sort of worship service. It just didn't seem like the time and the place. And speaking of like Twitter and Instagram, and certainly I am under no guise that like he has to do anything. He doesn't have to do anything. But you can clear the air pretty quick with said Twitter, said Instagram. Like, it's easy for Diana Rossini to come on and be like, well, he doesn't really have a shoulder injury. And Derek Carr to just come right on out with Twitter or Instagram or a press conference or press release, whatever he wants to say, and be like, yep, I'm hurt. Here's the deal. And lay out when he got hurt. Like, you can clear that up and just call her a liar immediately if you want to. That option's available. He hasn't done that. He did it behind closed doors in a worship service. But, like, he's not squelching on the outside. And it's just the only word as this stuff continues to happen, there's actually basically one word. It's just toxic. The whole thing is toxic. And there are going to be people on the Saints beat that cover it a little bit more passionately than I do. I'm just kind of sitting back here on the 16th row going, really? That's kind of odd. Huh? What'd you say? She said, I can't think of another organization that's quite in this position right now. And it just feels like everybody needs to turn the page. It just feels like everybody needs to turn the page. Now, that can be easier said than done. There are obviously massive financial ramifications to that. There could be an injury that is a massive hurdle in that way. And then you've got to deal with whatever could potentially come in return if somebody else wants to come to you and get him. So it's not as easy as just like, all right, it's over, just deal with it. Like you gotta deal with some circumstances. But I just feel like Derek Carr's PR is not great. And the delivery, quite frankly, to that, especially if you have the video where he starts bashing Diana Rossini, some person on the internet, and some people's opinions don't need to be heard. And it's like, well, it's an NFL podcast, and it is what it is. It's not like she's just some fan on the internet that's going nuts. She's not. She's a very, very well-respected and credentialed member of the media whose job it is to have conversations. She doesn't just run with everything she hears. This is something that she's clearly vetted, clearly felt good about reporting, and went on the podcast and said it. So it could come out that Derek Carr is absolutely hurt, has done everything right with the Saints, and the Saints understand the situation fully and are moving on accordingly. That could be the case. And if we learn that is the case, which I don't know that we will, but if we ever do, I'll walk the stuff back and be like, yeah, okay. I mean, that all makes sense. But it feels like in taking all of these dots and connecting them that like this can't go on and there's something more to this story. When a quarterback that's making that much money for an NFL team is going to be out for the year, that's not something that usually just lingers for a while. That's something that is done. There's not a lot of misinformation about season-ending injuries. That's not something that just floats off and no one really pays attention to. It's reported, it's done, move on. And that hasn't happened. That leaves the door open. And if that's the case, and there actually isn't a significant injury, and this is about leverage to get out of town in this relationship, then it's just completely petty and quite frankly like the opposite of what you should be preaching about. But again, I'm just a guy sitting on the sideline. I don't know all the details of this, so I'm not going to bang on the table, and I'm not going to yell and scream, and I'm not going to speak definitively. I'll just tell you it feels like there's fishy stuff going on, and it certainly feels like the end of the Derek Carr era is upon us. Tyler Shook, second-round pick, that feels like the direction the Saints are going to head. So if you're looking for Saints content, you can always find it Hunt on Saints on YouTube, Hunt on Saints, wherever you find your podcasts. Saints all year round, certainly a lot going on, and we've got a ton of coverage over on LouisianaSports.net. Ross Jackson has been all over everything from a Saints perspective. You missed it. Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.